YouTube. How we doing? Jags to Riches, James Peters. Hope everyone is having a fantastic weekend. Boston Celtics have had a few days off. Kind of a short week. They were coming off of a long West Coast trip. Played Wednesday, and then they actually don't play again until tomorrow, Sunday. So kind of just, checking out the news, seeing what was going on. Obviously, only 8-9 games left. So mostly a lot of predictions, awards, things along those lines. Like I said, with the season wrapping up for most teams here, 8-9 games for the majority, right? Well, something that caught my eye was an article from NBC Sports Boston, and I'll actually pull it up here. But basically, it was a simulation, a playoff one, where it basically goes over the odds and projections on potential matchups. And as you see right here, simulation of Celtics potential playoff matchups result in a twist. So honestly, and forgive me, this is by Mr. Darren Hartwell. Now, just to summarize, essentially this is going over the Celtics' success, 5 in a row, 23 out of the last 27 surge. Talks about the standings, which, as you see briefly here, where I believe we're in third now because you got the Sixers and Bucks who are tied for second, only a half game behind the Heat. We are only one game out of first place. So you've got this log jam up here through the top four. So just kind of highlighting the fact that, not that long ago, the Celtics were a play-in team. They mentioned the Nets, how, don't let the 38-35 article or record fool you. Obviously, some of the most talented players out there. Now, what they then talk about is something we've mentioned before. If whoever ends up with the number 1 or 2 seed risk playing the Brooklyn Nets, who are going to probably be in a play-in situation. We'll get to that in a second. So it basically says if they get the number 1 or 2 seed, you're looking at what they believe will be a Brooklyn or Toronto matchup. Whereas if you finish with the number 3 or 4 seed, you're looking more like at a Cleveland or Chicago matchup. So we'll go through what they're, talking about, because right below this, they start talking about each individual matchup in the first round, and they give their prediction, and I'll react to it, and then I'll talk about what I think will be my most likely scenario. So straight to it. Mr. Forsberg, how important is the number 1 seed to the Celtics? But here it is. Celtics versus Cavs series. Boston wins in 7. So they've got us, and this is all, like I said, you're going to see like the Cavs and all of these teams. They just talk about what they believe the outcome would be. As you can see, they think if we get matched up against the Cavs, which they said they believe would happen if we finish with the 3 or 4 seed, they would take us to 7 games, stating that they think Jaylen Brown would have the big closeout game in Game 7. They think Darius Garland would average 25 points throughout. But it says, mild surprise, young, inexperienced Cavs take Celtics to 7 games. All-star point guard Darius Garland leads all scorers. So not only that, they think Darius Garland will have a series high. They don't think anyone on the Celtics, Tatum or Brown, will outscore the 24.6. Moving on, I'll go back. We'll talk about all of these at the end. So second one, against the Raptors. Again, 3 or 4, they think. Or no, excuse me, 1 or 2. Because remember, they think the Raptors are going to be in the play-in. So they think that we beat them in 5, 4-1 series win. Tatum averaging nearly 27 points, including 35 and multiple 30-point games. And again, one of the big surprises here, they think if the Boston Celtics get matched up with the Brooklyn Nets, they beat them in 5 in a 4-1 series. Again, they've got Jason Tatum leading Boston with 21 points a game. They got Kyrie Irving actually series high, averaging right at 25 points a game. It says it right here. Yes, you read that right. Boston wins in 5s, ending the Nets championship. Wow. They cite there our defense are going to stifle them in the first 2 games. Tatum is going to carry us. And they say in Game 5, we're going to make a statement beating what they say is the best team in the East. Now, here, you want to talk about the biggest surprise? Celtics versus Bulls. Celtics lose to the Chicago Bulls 4-2. Chicago wins in 6. They've got us coming out and jumping out to a 2-0 lead at that. So we come out, win 2-0, and then lose 4 straight. And at that, they think it's going to be Nikola Vucevic, who's going to average 28 points a game, including having a 40 and 30 piece on us. And they're going to take us down in 6. So, again, they've got us beating the Cavs in 7, Toronto in 5, Brooklyn in 5, Chicago, they got us losing in 6. So my immediate reaction to each of those. So how do I see everything playing out? First off, guys, I've quickly realized that it is silly to even start to think about how this is going to shape out. I have no idea. You're talking about 4 teams that are all loaded. And like 3 out of the 4 are basically out of the last 10 games have won 7 out of them. With Brooklyn, or excuse me, not Brooklyn. Philly has won 7 out of the last 10. Milwaukee's, I think, won like 8 out of the last 10. And then obviously, you know what Boston's doing on our recent run. So it's like, with the exception to Miami, who is still number 1, every one of these teams, they're all like just surging, playing well. They're all within 1 game or a half game of each other. It's insanity. So what I did is I just kind of looked at it, broke down each of their schedules, how healthy they are. And for the most part, each of these teams are healthy or pretty damn close to it. Milwaukee, they just got back Brook Lopez. Chris Middleton's missed the last couple of games. He should be back. You've got Giannis, who's missed a game. He'll be back anytime. Now, by the way, he's an MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. Drew Holiday has been balling, have a really good year. Even though Chris Middleton struggled, if you look at him recently, since All-Star break, he's been averaging 25, 6, and 5, playing a lot better. By the way, Bobby Portis is having a career year. You've got Grayson Allen having a career year, and then you've got Allen, Portis, and Connaughton. All 3 of those guys are 40% three-point shooters. So the defending champs are the real deal. You've got the Sixers, who obviously got James Harden, and MVP, contender, and Joel Embiid, arguably the best big man in the damn game right now. So I mean, with a solid ass roster around them, Tobias Harris, Maxey, Matisse Thybulle. I mean, it's the real deal over there. So it's like, I mean, then obviously Boston. I've talked about them ad nauseum. You don't need me to tell you what this team's doing. Another MVP caliber player in Tatum, who I have as my 4th right now in MVP voting. 2 Defensive Player of the Year on the number 1 defensive team. I would say, right there with Phoenix, the hottest team in the NBA. You know what I mean? And then the only team that is not playing right now, like surging, is Miami, who's more at like 5-5 out of the last 10. They've been the damn number 1 seed here the longest out of all of them. So it's hard for me to say I think this team's going to go here, because then you're talking strategy is going to come into play. You don't think some of these teams are going to – you don't think Doc Rivers – all right, real quick. The Bucks, out of the Bucks in the last 9 games, 8 of them are against playoff teams. The Heat have 8 games left. They have the easiest schedule. Only 4 of them are against playoff teams. The Sixers with 8 games left, 5 against playoff teams. The Celtics with 8 games left, 6 against the playoff teams. So Miami has the easiest, then Philly, Boston, Milwaukee. That's strength of schedule, right? If I had to guess, I believe that Milwaukee probably takes the number 1 seed just based on them getting healthy all the way with Brook Lopez, Giannis, Middleton, and how well they've been playing. I think everything's starting to click for them as the playoffs, are coming together. They're just, they're hot, they're surging. And I think that they are really eyeing that number 1 seed, whereas I think Miami finishes probably in the 2nd seed. They still have the 1-game lead. They have the easiest schedule. And I think that just that roster, I've done a deep dive on Miami, and just they're a really, beautifully built team. A lot of, excellent 3-point shooters behind another Defensive Player of the Year. And I think, one of the top 3 or 4 big men in the game, and Bam. And then obviously their star and Jimmy Butler, Kyle Lowry, PJ Tucker are both champions. So I expect them to finish in the 2nd seed. And I do think our Boston Celtics finish in the 3rd. I think Philly finishes in the 4th. And I think that's going to probably be a little strategy too. I think that, Doc might take a look at it and say, yeah, I'm going to pump the brakes just a little. We've got kind of an easy schedule. Let me rest Embiid or something. I just have a feeling that's kind of how it's. And like I said, guys, this shit could be all wrong. The Celtics could be 1, Philly could be 2, you know what I mean? The Heat could be 4. It's so damn crazy right now. I don't know what teams are, what they're thinking, what strategy the coaches are going to come into play, injuries, rest. It's so damn wild. I have no idea. So I really do believe, though, that you could be looking at what I do believe is that Brooklyn is going to be in the 7th seed. I think that you'll see Brooklyn. I think that Toronto ends up with the 6th seed. I think that Cleveland falls to the 7th. Remember, Cleveland and Toronto are tied right now, same exact record. I think that you see Toronto finish in the 6th, Cleveland fall to 7. So I think Cleveland is going to have to play Brooklyn in the opening game of the play-in. I think Cleveland loses that. So I think you'll see Brooklyn in the 7th seed. I think you'll see Cleveland then beat, most likely, Charlotte for the 8th seed. So if that happens, in my mind, I think you'll see the opening round. You'll see Milwaukee probably facing Cleveland win the 1-8. I think you'll see Miami facing Brooklyn in the 2 and the 7. Ooh. I think you'll see the Boston Celtics and the Toronto Raptors in the 3-6. And then I think you'll see Philly and Chicago in the 4-5. If that were to happen, I think Milwaukee beats Cleveland. I think Brooklyn beats Miami in what would be an absolute slugfest of a hell of a series game, probably 7. I think Boston beats Toronto. I think Philly beats Chicago in another tough series. I think in the second round, if it lines up like this, I think you would see Milwaukee and Brooklyn play in round 2 and Boston and Philly play in round 2, where I think you would see Milwaukee and Boston advance to the ECF, where I think the Boston Celtics would beat the Milwaukee Bucks in 7 to advance to the NBA Finals, where I do believe the Phoenix Suns will be waiting. We'll wait and actually do some more predictions once the actual seeding goes in. I'll do my full who I think is going to win it all. But yeah, guys, quick video today. I just wanted to, again, react to this article that came out on NBC. Like I said, it's just kind of fascinating when you look at this, thinking the fact that they've got us, losing to or beating the Cavs in 7. It's just, they think, with exception to us losing to Chicago, the Cavs would be our toughest series. They think we would beat both Toronto and Brooklyn in 5. And I'll be honest with you, I am more surprised about this Chicago than I am about the Brooklyn. In fact, I think that Boston would probably beat Brooklyn in 6. I have us beating the Nets in probably 6. But I think that we could potentially beat Cleveland in 5. I think Toronto is a 7-game series. I do. Like, if any of these are 7, I think it's Toronto, based on Nick Nurse's mind and how just awkward that team is. Toronto, with Van Fleet and then Gary Trent and Anunoby getting healthy, and then with Siakam and just, obviously Scotty Barnes. It's a very big, awkward team, and I just think and then with Nick Nurse and his ability to make adjustments, and just, I think you would see a box one on Tatum. I think it would just be an awesome series. So, but I think Boston would win in 6, maybe 7. Like I said, Brooklyn, and I think we beat them in 6. I think we beat Chicago in 6. I think that's a very difficult series. But if anything, I don't see us, especially in this. They've got us jumping out to a 2-0 lead, then losing 4 straight. Hell no. Hell no. And then not even at that, they've got 3 out of the 4, not even, OT. But, I mean, come on, bro. Like, no, I think that with exception, I think all of these, we win. I think that there's right now, the way the Celtics are playing, I think they're the best team in the East. They're my pick to make it to the NBA Finals and represent the East. I could see a lot of these teams. All of these teams are legit. They are all honestly contenders, to be honest. Chicago, Brooklyn. I mean, I think Toronto and Cleveland still have, another step, but they will still be a tough matchup for whoever they face. But I do believe Brooklyn and Chicago are teams that could threaten whoever they play in the opening round. However, I see the Celtics and Bulls as the more realistic series. I think that we will either end up playing the Bulls or the Raptors based on how seeding is going to end up. And I think that we win either one of those series in 6, most likely. But again, guys, quick video. Just wanted to react to that. I thought that was an excellent article. Again, check it out when you get a chance. It is on NBCSports.com right now by Darren Hartwell. Our Boston Celtics will be playing tomorrow. It'll be Sunday, so I know we'll probably be doing a pregame, most likely, maybe a postgame as well. But, we'll just have to see. It's the Timberwolves at 6 p.m., and then it's on a back-to-back because there's also the Raptors on Monday. They play the Heat on Wednesday, the Pacers on Friday, then the Wizards on Sundays for 5 games next week. So it'll be a busy week for us, but we'll be covering it all on Celtics Corner, Jags to Riches, James Peters. Check us out on both of those channels. We'll be dropping videos probably every single day. My co-host, my man Bobby, actually did a 2-hour live stream yesterday. Go check that out. Thank you for everyone that turned out. I've actually got a video planned with my man Adam Taylor this upcoming week. He was, I think, the third video I ever did on my channel. And it was a preseason and off season before the season ever even started video. So I think we're just going to kind of review some of our takes, because we talked about the double big. Like Adam actually mentioned the double big before anyone even talked about it. We did some of our predictions. So I think we're just going to do like a follow-up on the season and where we see everything, kind of coming together. So working on scheduling that with him. But otherwise, guys, thank you all so much for your time. Jags to riches, James Peters, have an excellent conclusion to your weekend. Take care, guys.